Hello, everybody. So this is Brock, and this is Risque Podcast number. What number is it? 15. Yeah. All right, and I'm joined by
Philip.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I put my last name out there. Let's start that one over.
I could just censor it.
That works.
Okay, I'll censor it. And that's it. It's just us two.
Yep.
Because everybody else is lame. So. All right.
We're doing homework. That's another good one.
Oh yeah, probably. I think podcasts can be more important than homework.
Indeed.
All right. So, I actually have a question for you. So, on Friday, I went to PSUB. Do you know what PSUB is?
Purdue Student Union
Board. Yeah.
Okay.
They host a lot of events at Purdue, and they had Dance Fever.
They did.
Yeah.
I heard about that.
Yeah. So I went to it because Christy was there, and she told me Andrew was there too for Latin Ballroom. And anyway, I saw Andrew there, and we hung out for a while, and then he drove me back home, and we were talking about our 21st birthday.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know this, my birthday is like 4 days after Andrew's.
Oh yeah, it's very close. I remember that.
So then Andrew was like, "You're coming with me to my 21st birthday at the whatever we're gonna do, Cactus or something." And I was like, "Man, I turned 21 4 days after you." And he's like, "Oh, that sucks," because I guess his birthday is on a Friday, and so mine will be like on a Tuesday, which I mean, Tuesday's pretty lame.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was talking to him, and I'm like, when is Phil's birthday? And then he's like, it's in November on a day that I'm not going to tell you because he doesn't like to tell people about his birthday. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Now this is really interesting because I don't know if I want to say used to or still am the same way where I don't tell people my birthday. You don't tell anybody your birthday, right?
I told Andrew and this one other girl that just wouldn't leave me alone. And she's cool anyway, so I was just like, just keep it a secret. She totally did not keep it a secret. But so that's pretty much like two people.
Okay. Why do you keep it a secret? Because you keep it a secret from really close friends too.
I do, because in the way I think of things in general is that if we're friends, we will be friends no matter what day of the year it is. As cheesy as that might sound, the worst thing that I think can ever happen to anybody is when someone you barely even know anymore wishes you a happy birthday from the quote-unquote bottom of their hearts. You've never seen them in like a couple years. They don't even care if you're alive or not.
Yeah.
They just get a notification on Facebook that says it's your birthday.
Right.
I think that's honestly one of, maybe not the worst things, but I don't think it's even worth it at that point. You're not even friends anymore.
Yeah. So it's like really insincere, and it kind of like makes, I don't know, it's like a stupid event that anybody can just say happy birthday.
Right. And then and on your birthday, it's customary, you get the presents and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think presents mean more when it's just out of the blue randomly. It's like, I thought of you, so I bought you this.
It's true.
I think that's much more interesting, meaningful, and maybe even more heartfelt than, I know this kid's birthday is on this day. I have like 6 more weeks until I can figure out when I need to get him something, and then I'll just get him something that I'm pretty sure he'll like, or her, or whatever.
Yeah, I agree completely. So does that apply to other things for you? Like, do you think Valentine's Day is kind of stupid too?
Well, the Valentine's Day is more of like a cultural thing, so you can't touch that kind of stuff because girls get pissed.
Okay, that's very true.
Like, I wouldn't mind if the whole Valentine's Day for like from and I'm making a generalization here. From the lady's standpoint, I can understand why that might be a special day. From my standpoint, I really don't care. But if you want to, sure, whatever.
Okay. Well, I mean, for ladies, they're the one that get stuff usually, right?
Yeah. And in a lot of Asian cultures, I think it's called White Day or something like that, where if you gave a girl a present, they give you back chocolates or something like that.
Like a month later or something if they accept or something.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I've heard of something like that.
Yeah.
I just remember one time in high school, it was junior year, I think. I was in the elevator with a few people, that are in a lot of my classes, and I was just like, we were standing there, and then one of them that's, I don't know, more of an acquaintance, not really like a close friend or anything, was just like, people have been wishing her happy birthday because it's her birthday, right? And I mean, I don't really know her. She's like an acquaintance. She's not a close friend or anything. And then we're standing in the elevator, and then she's like, "Hey Brock, it's my birthday." And I'm like, okay, cool. And then she's like, what? She got pissed. She's like, what do you mean, cool? it's my birthday. You're supposed to wish me a happy birthday. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to. Like, I don't know. I hate it from my perspective. I don't want random people to wish me a happy birthday, and I don't want to be expected to say happy birthday to you because I don't know.
I mean, I can see where you're coming from, but at the same time, if someone that I sort of know is going around and like forcing people to say happy birthday, I'm not really gonna fight it. You know, that's too much energy on my part.
You're just gonna let it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna go out of my way to not say happy
That's
birthday
like
to you.
happy birthday rape. You're just letting it
Yeah. Man, that's deep.
Yeah, right. Same concept, just probably a very loose comparison.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I actually talked to one of my friends. I don't think you know who he is. He goes here. Prashant, do you know him? Okay.
No.
Anyway, I was talking to him. He's like, I feel like I'm really philosophical. Like I like to just think about ethics and morals and things like that. And for the longest time, I was like that, where it's like, I'm not gonna put when my birthday is. I don't want people to be notified when my birthday is on Facebook or something like that, because it's just gonna be like a bunch of people saying happy birthday, and it's like, I don't. It doesn't really matter that much. If you know my birthday, I guess, already, you're going to say it anyway. Mm-hmm. And, if not, I'm not like bothered by, people not wishing me a happy birthday or whatever. But this year, or my last birthday, was the first time I ever did that, where I actually changed it so that people would see when my birthday was and write happy birthday or whatever. And I don't know, like, I guess I made an effort where most people don't, is like everybody that's posted on my wall happy birthday, I made like a comment back to them, like a personal comment, just like, hey, thanks. And like, I mean, it was a lot of people that I don't really talk to anymore. And I mean, we kind of caught up a little bit, but still it turned out to be nothing. Like,
yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to change it again back to people not knowing, because like, I mean, it seems kind of fake.
That's pretty much the reason why I took it off too. And the funniest thing is when I'm talking to people and they're like, so when's your birthday? And I'm like, you know what? It's a secret. And then they get on their phones and they're checking Facebook.
Oh, really?
And they're like, it's not on your Facebook. And I'm like, if I'm not going to tell you in person, why would it be on some kind of public forum for everybody else to see too?
Yeah, it's like only random people can know this information.
Exactly. So everybody thinks it's weird, but when I talk to people, they usually at least can understand where I'm coming from. Some people still don't get it, but that's all right.
So whenever somebody asks you, you just say it's a secret, or do you say like sometime in November or what?
I pretty much say it's just a secret.
Okay. All right.
And then they look at me like I'm crazy, or I'm growing a third arm out of my forehead or something like that.
Right. Okay.
All right. So one of the things that I actually talked and debated with my mom about was when you go to school and sometimes even in high school and in college and all this kind of stuff, you have to take classes, Mm-hmm. But on top of that, you have to take classes pertaining to things maybe not even closely related, but that aren't directly relevant to what you want to do. And the whole point of that is to make the well-rounded individual. Is that correct?
That is the idea.
Yeah, that's the idea, right? Mm-hmm. But how many of these people that you see that come out of college with this diverse background of classes actually end up being well-rounded in a legitimate sense?
I would say, probably not that many.
Probably not that many, right? There are the people that do benefit from it.
Yeah.
But on top of that, I also feel like if they really wanted to be the well-rounded individual, they would do that anyways. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't have to have the curriculum to do that.
Right, but I guess it's like coercing people into being well-rounded. Is that sort of a discrepancy?
Yeah, the thing that bugs me is we're paying for these classes that we're eventually not going to use.
Yeah, that's true.
That's time and money. We could be graduating sooner or taking more classes that are directly correlated to what we want to do, what we want to learn. We might be more engaged in class or in school because of this, instead of like, I have to go to English and relearn how to read and write and how to write essays, which isn't bad, but at the same time, it's from high school you should probably have some sense of writing.
Yeah.
And then after a certain point in your career, there's usually going to be a secretary there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see what you mean.
And that's also another generalization. So
yeah,
there are instances where that is wrong, but as a whole, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean. Like, I feel like we get our well-roundedness anyway from high school, right? Like we spend from when we're 5 until when we're 18 going to school to do all these different things, right? We're in an English class like a mandatory English class for each grade, a mandatory math class. We're getting our well-roundedness at that point. Whenever we get to university, where you have to, each moment you're paying for each credit hour, right?
Yeah, this is true.
So it doesn't really make sense to make somebody take an English class or something like that if it's not really applicable to their major.
Right, and I do see where in some instances where it could be helpful. Like if you let's take Philip for example. If you went to a public school it is a good example. If you went to a public school that honestly just wanted you to graduate and so they can get their numbers up so that the state doesn't shut you down, and they pretend to feed you information and do all this kind of stuff, and then you end up in a college with these fake numbers saying that your GPA was ridiculous, and then you end up failing out and all that kind of stuff. I can understand at that point where you might want to take stuff that you don't want to take. But let's take Brock for example. Okay, Brock was pretty smart. I don't think Brock should have to take a speech or an English class in his college career unless he wants to. And then if he does want to, he might just take an interviewing class or an entrepreneurship class that might actually be applicable to what he wants to do.
Yeah. I guess the argument though would be, so for example, communications. I had to take Com 114, which is just intro to communications or whatever the hell it's called. And I mean the idea there is that you're gonna have to present stuff to people in the real world. But I'm an engineer, so like I'm still gonna have to do the things that you learn in that class. But like I guess I've done plenty of presentations in my engineering classes, so like it's sort of like redundancy that I'm paying for and wasting my time with.
Yeah, so that's just a little gripe that I have. I think that it should be, in most instances, a choice and not a forced choice, I should say, for the classes that you take. Yeah.
Well, do you know like how your plan of study is panning out right now? Like what sort of classes you have to take? Like how many gen eds or how many?
I have that saved on my computer, so I can see the map. But it's actually kind of messed up because I knew what I wanted to do back when I was in community college, so I took a bunch of these credits all over the place.
Yeah, okay.
And so I have a couple gen ed credits and everything like that. So if I were to follow the same map curriculum that Purdue gave me, I'd have a couple semesters where I'd be overwhelmed to try to catch up, and then a semester where I'm taking like one or two classes.
Okay, yeah.
So it's a little different, but
okay, because like I'm thinking like usually with these not necessary classes to make you well-rounded, they usually happen your first year of school, and then sometimes they're kind of like spread out throughout the rest of your years, like maybe one class every year, one class a semester.
It's definitely like that. So this first year is pretty general. Then it gets more and more directed and specific towards what you want to do, and then sparsely throughout that there's a little bit of, I know, what is it, like my third to last semester there I have to take like another English class or something like that.
Okay, yeah. So like I don't know, I can see the first year, since it's like, if we're looking at the college experience as a whole, not just the learning part, you're transitioning into being more independent. You're transitioning into like finding out who you really want to be and who you really are and your friends and things like that. So I can understand like the first semester, the first year, you kind of have, you need to have your specific classes for your specific major, but you have these like general classes, like whatever, your general English and your general communications and things like that. But I think later on, whenever you're like a junior or a senior and you have to take these gen eds still, like I think that's
it's a little silly. I think, in my opinion.
I think either you need to require them to take classes that are relevant to their major, or just not have them take those classes and spend more time on the other classes that are definitely relevant.
Or maybe even just graduate earlier.
Yeah, that too. And I'm just thinking, comparing this to like how the med program works in the United States, where you have to have a pre-med undergrad before you get into medical school, and like it seems like that's 4 years of wasted time. Because I'm thinking one person that I know, they're in communications as pre-med, has nothing to do with the medical school at all, right?
Right.
So they're taking all these classes just to get a super high GPA and get into medical school. But it's like you didn't really learn anything, or not that much, in those 4 years.
Oh yeah.
That's going to pertain. You know what I'm saying? So where you look at other countries, India or the
China,
UK,
freaking they at like almost like at birth they put you into what they want you to, and they condition you towards that, and that's basically it.
Right.
And look at China; they're crazy, and they're doing well.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. It just
they are
seems
crazy
like
though, so I wouldn't put it that far.
Well, I don't know. It just seems like they're going straight. Whenever they get out of, I don't know how their system works if they go like to an equivalent of senior year of high school, but like right after that, whenever they get to university level, they can go straight into their specific thing, so med school or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like a way better system than wasting 4 years doing something else and paying money and all this other stuff. So
I would also like to say, branching off of the well-rounded individual in classes and stuff like that, I think the United States has kind of lost its focus on what it's kind of doing with school, because there are plenty of people that I went, like, okay, so for the public high school that I went to as well, the entire goal and what they somewhat brainwashed everybody into was you're going to college.
Yep.
Okay, and so that was the driving force of basically our high school. Was besides that, the high school didn't want to get shut down because it was pretty crummy and all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. It was that everybody that graduates is going to go to college, and there are plenty of people that I knew. Like for one instance, one of my friends over in high school wanted to be a policeman so bad it wasn't even funny, right? Mm-hmm. And so he's taking all these classes in high school that aren't going to be anything towards his policeman career, and he's not going to be going to college, and he's actually not going to college, and he's not in the police academy because he's too young, or something like that, but he's in the thing before the police academy, so he's going through the stuff that he wants,
like the process,
right? Yeah. But I don't think he should have been wasting his time in high school if he already knew what he wanted to do.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if how we have it right now as far as going up to high school, if that's the proper amount of years, I guess, to do it. But I do think that we need a certain number of years to really find out what we want to do. Because whenever I was a freshman in high school, I was convinced that I wanted to do one thing, whereas I'm not doing that right now.
Yeah, what was it?
Whenever I was a freshman, I wanted to either be a German teacher or translator, or I wanted to be a politician.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah, I know, right? So I don't know, for those things, I was pretty convinced that I wanted to do something related to German, for sure. And I don't know, it didn't really turn out that way. I mean, right now I'm doing things with German still, but it's not my absolute focus.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think a lot of schools in Europe, they can skip their senior year and just go straight into university or straight into whatever they want to do. So
that's cool.
Yeah, so they only have 3 years of high school. I think that's probably an okay system.
Yeah.
Where if you know what you're gonna do, go do it.
Yeah, I think it's just a little silly that America is trying to push everybody into college.
Yeah.
Because then eventually your mom and dad muffler shop isn't going to exist anymore. There's going to be no one that can weld anymore. Mm-hmm. There's going to be no construction workers anymore. And then what happens when things need to get fixed or built? We're going to have a lot of people that can design this stuff, but no one that has any sort of inkling of an idea of how to make it actually. So
yeah, that's actually one thing I thought about. Is if we took away the bottom level of stuff, like how to
like the blue collar America.
Yeah, if we took that away, we wouldn't be anywhere. I could say I'm a somebody could say they're a mechanical engineer or whatever, but they don't really know everything about anything. Like a car, they wouldn't know how to build it from the ground up or anything like that. So yeah, and
that's also I know in the last podcast I mentioned briefly that I was an iron worker, and I'm not sure if I mentioned this or not, but I think the whole blue collar piece of America or any place really, I don't think that they're appreciated really like they should be.
Yeah.
Because they're working in hellacious environments and stupid hours, and they're getting somewhat bad pay as compared to what I really think they should. And should the person that designs it get paid more than the guy that builds it? Maybe. But does the person that builds it get close to minimum wage? No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So that's I think, and I don't know how it would work if we raised everybody's income, but that's just something that I wish could happen without any kind of negative effect.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It seems like I don't know. Do you want to? I don't know if you want to disclose this, but do you want to tell roughly how much you made as an iron worker?
I made as an iron worker. Let's see. My base pay was 9 hours, and then I got 10 hour. Or no, my base pay was $9 an hour, and then I got $10 an hour if I worked out in the field. And so for a kid that's not living on his own, paying bills with all that kind of stuff, that was really good.
Yeah, it sounds good for sure.
Right, but as soon as some of these people had families with multiple children, had multiple families with multiple wives, which that's on them. But they had to pay for a lot of stuff. Some of these people were fresh out of prison on probation, and they had, on top of paying for their stuff, they had to stay on top of their lives besides work. Some of them had to break the law to go to work. Actually, one of the guys that worked with me wasn't supposed to be able to drive because he had a DUI, and but the other stipulation of his probation thing was that he had to work, and he had to drive to work just so that he could work, but at the same time he was breaking the law so he could kind of not go back to jail.
Yeah.
I think it's just a little silly,
Yeah.
or maybe not even silly. That's pretty screwed up, actually. America's not perfect, but at the same sense, I'm not sure how we could make it better, like right now.
Yeah. I know what you. Yeah, I agree there. I don't know how we could really, because I mean, it sounds good to just raise their income, but
Yeah, raise their income, and he had a DUI, don't let him drive. All
Yeah.
this kind of stuff.
I don't know if you have something like that where you're not allowed to drive but you have to work. I can't imagine really doing that.
Yeah, it's
Because
tough.
most of the places that you work at aren't within walking distance of where you live.
No, especially places like, let's say that you work at an iron factory or some kind of metal fabrication factory or something industrial. Okay, that's not going to be anywhere close to some sort of residential area,
Right.
and so it's probably going to be downtown. You probably don't live downtown because downtown's probably going to have really expensive apartments.
Yes.
Let's just say that. So how are you going to get to work? You might take the bus, and I lived in San Antonio, Texas. The public transit we have there is called the Via Bus. The Via Bus is sketchy as hell, okay? I knew one person that rode the Via Bus to work, and he stopped as soon as he had enough money to buy a car. So he stopped eating for a little while so he could buy a car faster.
Wow.
That was intense.
And what about it sketchy? Like the people on it, or
It's so not... Like in some of these smaller cities, the public transit makes so much more sense that there's money and time and effort involved in making it decent. In Texas, it's so big, people usually buy cars.
yeah.
So the public transit's not used very often, and it's not oftenly used by the people that make money. So, not saying that this is bad, but it's
okay.
usually
I see
lower
what you
income
meant there.
people that use the Via Bus. And on top of that, there's a lot of people that can just scrounge up enough change to ride the Via Bus just so they can stay warm and stuff like that. It's horrendous.
Yeah.
Not saying that they're doing any bad things, but it's
Yeah.
so not used by enough people that they are willing to put more money into it to make it better.
There actually, I mean, it's not as serious for sure, but some people at Purdue have done that before, where they I don't know, they just get on the bus to ride around to stay warm or something. I don't know why they do this or something, but I've heard bus drivers say get mad at students for just sitting on the bus and not getting off even after they take a full round trip. I don't know why somebody would do that as a student, but
yeah, as a student, that's a little different.
But I mean, I can see how that translates into something far greater with a giant city.
Yeah.
Where people, they might be homeless, they might,
Yeah,
it's
it's not like they're trying to do anything bad.
Yeah.
They're just trying to not die.
Right. Going back to what we were talking about.
Oh man, we got so
Yeah,
off
we
track.
got we got a little bit off track, but that's all right. Going back to what we were talking about, it seems like a given that you're going to go to college after high school.
Yeah.
It definitely seems like that, because it seems like before it used to be you could graduate from high school, get a job, make a living, progress in life, and be fine. Never go to university, never do anything like that.
Right.
But now it seems like we're just extending it and making it longer. It is drilled into our heads that you're going to college, so it's just we're adding another 4 years on to something. It's 4 years of it almost seems like mandatory education when it's really not.
I remember seeing this. It's a meme on the internet. It has some Asian dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you could be whatever you want in life. Engineer, doctor, lawyer, all these things that require education.
Yeah.
Didn't say anything about any sort of blue collar work.
Yeah. I don't know. It's definitely like a stigma where people that are in blue collar work are definitely like seen as a lesser part of society.
They're looked down upon. I remember, I've talked to a lot of the people that I work with about this. Maybe let's say a couple decades back, if you told someone you were a welder, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Welding was something hard. Not many people could do it well, and if you're good at it, you made a decent amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Nowadays, you tell someone you're a welder, they look at you like you're either dirty, or they ask you why don't you do something else.
Mm-hmm.
It's not usually something nice.
Right. I don't know. I don't understand when that transition really happened. It almost seems like as a society we think we deserve something better than that now, for whatever reason. Yeah. It's kind of strange.
Yeah, and I remember seeing a lot of the people that have worked at the company for a long time. I worked over there for a couple summers, so I got to see some of the people often. And by the end of this one guy's career as a welder, he just looked sad. He was not a happy guy anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That hurts. It wasn't even me, and that made me sad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So how long did that guy work there?
It was
like decades.
Yeah, longer than I've been alive. So maybe
Wow.
like 30. Well, maybe not at that place, but in the business,
Mm-hmm.
maybe like 30 or 40 years.
Wow. I can't imagine doing that with like anything.
I know exactly. Day in, day out for a long, long time. Those people deserve a lot more than they get.
Yeah. And then one last thing I want to talk about university itself is
Sure.
So I've been looking more into like the local candidates for election this year, right?
So as in
like governor and Senate, things like that. And one of the lieutenant governor for the Republican ticket says that one thing that she wants to do is have an incentive for students to graduate from public university earlier by a year or by a semester, whatever they can do. And the incentive to do that is they're going to give them sort of like a scholarship or a grant or whatever you want to call it. They're just going to give them money if they graduate earlier. Like she said, if you graduate like a semester earlier, we'll give you $500. If you graduate a year earlier than 4 years for a bachelor's degree, you're going to get $1,000 more.
So what happens if you're like a super genius, like theoretically, and you don't even need to go to college?
Well, I think the idea is whenever you get the bachelor's degree, if you had so much credit coming in, or you took so many credit hours so quickly and you went to summer classes and all this shit, like if you did all of that and you graduated 2 years earlier, they're going to give you even more money.
How is that going to help though?
I don't know. It seems like awesome on paper, like
you're giving someone money.
It's like you're doing it quicker. We're going to give you some more money, and it's like that sounds really awesome, but I don't understand how that's going to help anything really.
Yeah, I mean, like, does that mean that are they saying that as long as we work faster and just graduate?
Yeah, it's pushing that
better than just keep taking our time and potentially learning more. Or maybe not even more, but just learning at a pace that things aren't just flying over your head and confusing and crazy.
I don't know. They're reforming a lot of the education system in Indiana, so I don't know why graduating a year earlier is like this thing that we need to pay money to. We need to give more incentive to do.
That makes no sense.
Yeah, it seems kind of crazy to me too.
Yeah.
So.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Are you Democratic, Republican, or whatever the other things are?
Party-wise?
Yeah.
Democrat.
Okay. I like to think that I'm Republican, but at the same time, there are a lot of things that make sense on the Democratic side and a lot of things that don't make sense on the Republican side. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure how that works anymore.
Right. I would say that looking at it from a party perspective, honestly, I probably shouldn't say this, but it's kind of silly because I don't know if you know this, but I'm on the executive board of Purdue College Democrats.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's like the student.
So you make like important decisions.
Maybe. I mean, not really super important, but I don't know. I'm sort of in a discrepancy with that too, because it's like there are certain things that I believe that are considered, Republican ideology, or certain things that I believe that are considered democratic ideology or in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So, or even further liberal than the Democratic Party wants to go.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't know. I think if you call yourself a Democrat or you call yourself a Republican, it doesn't really mean that much, because on any given issue you could be one way or the other.
It doesn't mean that much to the average citizen, but if you're an actual party member in the Senate and stuff like that, that means a whole lot.
Yeah, it does. It really does, but I think the reason that it means so much is a really bad reason, and that's like, so a good example is like there are plenty of conservative Democrats. Do you know? So like Democrats are usually liberal. Mm-hmm. Republicans are usually conservative.
Yeah.
So there are a lot, and Indiana is a really conservative state.
Mm-hmm.
We usually vote Republican, but the Democrats that are in office here are moderate or pretty conservative themselves. Okay.
Yep.
So a good example is back in Evansville, where I'm from, we had somebody in Congress that was a Democrat, but he was pretty conservative. So the thing that happened was the bailout came up for Obama's bailout for the auto industry.
Oh yeah, GM and all that kind of stuff.
That came up, and what a lot of things happened was the Democratic Party said, look, all of you Democrats, you're going to vote to pass this, and if you don't, then we're going to strip your funding next year. We're not going to help you.
How is that politics?
That because it all revolves around money, and I mean the same thing happens on the Republican side for sure. It happens on both sides, and it's like we're not going to help you. We're not going to back you unless you back us right now. And it's just like you're not really representing the people that you're with. It's like,
or you're not even representing yourself.
Yeah, even then, you're not even being true to yourself. So it seems kind of dumb. That's why I don't really like the political system.
Is that why you stopped wanting to be a politician?
Maybe, I don't know. I guess I just thought of it as like it doesn't really matter necessarily what you believe in whenever you're a politician. It's like what you can say and like where you're from. So like somebody with a Harvard degree is going to be better off than somebody that has a community college degree.
I see what you're saying.
It doesn't matter what they believe or how well they can write a bill or something like that. It's where you come from, and I'm like a big proponent of it's not where you come from, it's what you make of yourself. So I don't know.
Yeah, I can see that's the kind of stuff that I wish we could change too. Mm-hmm. Why can't people just be honest with themselves, and why can't people just accept that there's going to be other people that don't think the same as you?
I don't know. It seems even more alienating now than before. Maybe it's just because I'm getting more into politics, but I feel like it's so much like, you disagree with something and then the other person's just wrong if they disagree with you. It's just like, I'm not going to look at this other side, and they should agree with me, otherwise they're not really thinking about it. And
that actually goes into something else that I wanted to talk about was concealed carry. And why I want to concealed carry.
We still haven't had a discussion about that.
We have not, but that could be like that specific thing can be a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to talk about was last night I was at a Purdue Latin Ballroom dance thing because I'm part of the team, and we had a group activity, I guess, or event that we went to one of the corn mazes close by. Mm-hmm. A whole bunch of fun. Yeah. Everybody had a good time. We go to dinner at IHOP. And somehow the topic of guns come up, and somehow from guns we get to concealed carry, and we had a pretty good talk. Mm-hmm. Definitely a lot better than it could have been. Yeah. People.
Were there a lot of people not agreeing?
Oh, there's plenty of people not agreeing.
All right.
But the way that they did not agree didn't come off as you're wrong, you're stupid, except for one point when one of the other people said that if you're not willing to put your life on the line for anybody, that you should not conceal carry. And that, he can absolutely have that opinion, right? That is absolutely his opinion. You cannot touch that. But I don't think it's right of him to say that if you have to be able to lay your life down for just a random person, or else don't conceal carry ever.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that either. But it was just something I wanted to bring up, that everybody's entitled to their opinion. Mm-hmm. That's something that you honestly cannot take away from anybody else. And as long as you're understanding that opinions are just opinions, and that everybody has potentially different ones, then we're gravy.
Okay. I don't know. Like, I definitely agree that we shouldn't just say you're wrong, I'm right.
Yeah, that's something that everybody has what they think, but
But I feel like I hear this all the time now, where it's like somebody says something ridiculous, like I don't know, I can't think of a good example right now, but somebody can just say something like, if you have a gun, you're going to kill somebody at some point. And then, like, I don't know, you can I don't really agree that you just say, oh, that's their opinion, they can say whatever they want.
This is also true, but at the same point, if you're talking to an educated, or maybe not even educated, just a sound, well-grounded person, that they would at least be able to see where you're coming from too, even if they don't agree with you.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean, but I don't know. I guess it's like two people can have different opinions, and one can be absolutely ridiculous. But if I guess then you back it up with facts, right?
Yeah, and as long as they're not just going into like a fist fight over like they're right and they're wrong and all this kind of stuff. I can see where it'd be very stupid, but just there's nothing you can really do about it.
Right.
And one of the reasons why I wanted to bring up concealed carry is because it actually took me a very, very, very long time to decide whether I wanted to do so or not. It took it took me like honestly over the summer, like maybe like a month or so of thinking about stuff and not sleeping, thinking about this, because one of the potential things with concealed carry is that in the event that you have to use it, you're going to have to kill someone, and regardless of who that person is, one of the things I thought about was, if one of my very close friends went ballistic for whatever reason, went crazy, would I honestly be able to shoot them? I had a hard time with that one, because at one point they could be your best friend. Like it could be Brock. Someone runs over his cat. Brock goes out on a shooting rampage of the entire campus. Okay, completely hypothetical. But if that would happen, and if I would have my pistol or whatever, and Brock was doing that in an area where I could easily get to Brock and potentially neutralize the situation, would I be able to do that just to save some random person and potentially neutralize Brock and all that kind of stuff? And
so would you shoot me, Phil?
Honestly, I think I would.
Okay, good.
Okay. Not saying that I definitely want to, because and the other thing that people don't understand is a lot of people think that if you concealed carry, you're looking to be the superhero, to get in the fight, to do all this kind of like crazy, I'm going to save the world stuff. But the way I think of it, if I concealed carry, never pull out my gun in a defensive situation, all I do is take it out to shoot paper at the shooting range and all this kind of stuff, that is A-okay with me. I am completely fine with that. The day I have to potentially shoot someone is going to be the worst day of my life. I hope it never happens.
Do you think, though, a lot of people that do get the concealed carry license, do you think that how many, I guess let's go with a percentage, how many do you think are trying to be that superhero? Because I think a lot of people, whenever they talk about concealed carry, they're not concerned about somebody like you that's thought about it, spent time thinking about it, envision situations, doesn't actually want to have to use it.
Yeah, I mean, I know where you're coming from, and I like to think it's not that high, but at the same time, it's definitely out there. There are people that are like that, and especially like a really good point came up. I forget when, but if let's say there's a law-abiding citizen, okay, just picked on his entire life, weak, scrawny, whatever, right? Ends up becoming 21, has the power now. It's honestly a power, to buy something that can destroy someone else's life in an instant. Okay, gets that completely under legal whatevers. It's completely within the law now, and now begins to carry. Every time he carries that gun, he has the potential to change the outcome of someone's life forever. That's a scary thought.
Yeah, but I guess in that case, a counter argument would be like, so that person is whatever, picked on or something, and I think that in that case they might just find another method to. Well,
true. It's very true. Yeah. And I always love it when people say that they shouldn't give people guns because people or guns kill people. But at the same time, if you want to do it that way, then the government shouldn't give people cars either, because cars kill way more people than guns kill people, if you want to put it that way.
It's true.
So, and I honestly think that's completely true. I don't think people should get cars. I think there should either be public transit that's well established enough to take people wherever they want consistently, reliably, or they have the what is it? It's not remote control, but they have the cars that drive themselves. There was I recently watched a video where a long time ago, maybe closer to early 2000, the government put out a race through the desert that you had to have a car that drove itself to complete. Okay, no human intervention at all. That race went completely unfinished until some people made a system that absolutely worked. Okay, that system has been around for a long, long time, and guess what? No one has used it yet. No one has put any more additional money into it. No funding, and they proved that since then they've constantly made upgrades and updates and all this kind of stuff. They've taken it on regular streets, without any sort of other government people knowing about it. They're obviously they're sitting inside, but no one's behind the wheel, and it's driving around like these twisting roads and everything like that with other people, other variables that don't have the system, and it's doing completely fine.
Wow.
Why isn't that in the hands of the regular American?
It's true. I guess there are a lot of restrictions. They're like maybe it's really costly or something. I've seen something kind of similar with that, and there are plenty of cars now that have like the auto parking, parallel parking.
Yeah, like why can't we? And why don't we? Because the technology is there. Why don't we push that further?
Yeah.
The video actually had a blind guy. Okay, he was talking about how ever since he became blind, which was progressive over his life or something like that, he wasn't always blind. His freedoms gradually went away. He couldn't do the regular things that he liked to do anymore. And now they videotaped him in this car. He was able to go to the donut shop, get coffee, get his groceries without having to, call someone to help pick him up and stuff like that. He was happy. It's crazy. Why can't we do this, Brock? Why?
All right, I'll go make it. Give me a few years.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm sure there's plenty of interest for it.
Apparently not as much as we'd like to think.
I guess. I don't know. I bet it's also people don't really know about it, right? It's probably.
I'd like to hope that it's just that the people don't know about it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess as a company investing, there's a lot of liability if you say this car can drive itself, and then somebody gets in a crash and they sue you.
I suppose so.
I don't know.
Should we be scared about that kind of stuff?
You would think that, but I don't know. If somebody crashed in New York, they'd sue everybody.
But perhaps.
Okay, so whenever you are talking to somebody, for example, whenever I texted you and said I was here, and you said, what? What did you say?
I'll be right over.
Okay. Do you ever say the phrase, I'm on my way?
I do sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
I do sometimes.
Do you ever say, I'm on my way over? Or does that sound
No,
strange?
I just say on my way.
Okay,
I don't think I've ever said on my way over.
Okay. Have you ever heard anybody say that?
Not that I can immediately recall, no.
Okay.
Do you?
Yes. And it doesn't, it's like saying, where are you at? The at doesn't actually make sense. It's not an actual sentence. And I think that on my way over, and I say it, and it doesn't actually make sense. So I was wondering if that was like, since you're from Texas and I'm from Indiana, maybe it's like something like that. I don't know. So you've never heard or said on my way over?
Well, I think I've said I'm on my way over like right now, in that whole sense.
Okay.
But not just on my way over.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So Brock is giving me this weird eyeball look that you totally can't see.
Yeah, okay. I see what you mean. So like I'm on my way over to your house or something. You said that before.
I've said that before.
Okay. I think I've said on my way over before just by itself though.
I don't think I've ever said that.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. And then another thing is I was talking to one of my friends that's from Texas as well.
Oh yeah? What do you know what part of Texas?
I think she is from the Austin area, but
Austin's weird.
What is up with that to start out?
Austin is all sorts of fucked.
Okay, Texas is like, anybody from Texas is going to say Texas is the best place ever.
Yeah.
Okay? But if you talk to somebody from South Texas, they're going to say somebody from North Texas is weird. What is up with that?
It's just Austin.
It's just Austin?
Just Austin.
Because I had an interview with Celanese, which is an acetyl company. They make like polymers and things like that. But anyway, the two people there were from Texas. One of them was from I don't know exactly where they're from. One was from Eastern Texas and one was from Western Texas. I don't know where exactly.
Okay.
And then
West is probably like El Paso, because between El Paso and the rest of civilization, there's like nothing.
oh, okay. But they were just saying like how the other person's part of Texas is so weird, and like ours is the real Texas, and the other one was like, no, ours is the real Texas.
Okay.
This is during an interview too, which is strange.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Well, part of that is just because Texas is so big. There are different cultures within Texas.
But all of them love Texas as a whole.
All of them love Texas. Like, for instance, Philip lives in San Antonio, Texas. Or I guess I live in San Antonio, Texas. I'm doing the third person again.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up too. You do third person like all the time. I mean, it's fine with me, but anyway.
I don't know. It's whatever. It catches me sometimes. So I live in South Texas. Okay, it never snows in South Texas. Up in the Panhandle, the very north tip of Texas, it snows all the time. You know, like the winter time, it snows as normal. That's a giant climate change within a state. Okay, Texas is big enough to where even within cities, it's different. San Antonio is I want to say one of the largest cities close to the border. Okay, like there's El Paso and stuff like that. El Paso's not that big. San Antonio's pretty metropolitan. And it's pretty close to the border. Mm-hmm. We have a very heavy Hispanic culture going on there. Like we have the Battle of Flowers, we have Niosa, all this kind of stuff. It's like 5 days of partying, okay, and it's all revolved around, like it's not Hispanic anymore, but it traces its roots back to this whole stuff, and Hispanic is definitely influencing all that kind of stuff. And go to places like Dallas and Austin, You barely see any Mexican people there. It's heavily white, you know. That's only a couple hours away. Mm-hmm. Like Austin might be 1 hour away from San Antonio, and Dallas is 5.
I don't know, is that close?
Oh, that's Dallas, Houston, and Austin. I think Houston is 3 hours away. I get them confused all the time. Dallas is definitely 5 hours away though.
Okay.
But like between even those cities, the culture there is different, you know. Like Austin is pretty weird. Mm-hmm. They have that whole weird thing going on. Dallas is very white.
What about Austin is weird?
Okay, so you're driving down the street, okay?
Okay.
You stop at a stop sign on a one-way street. Mm-hmm. Okay, the street right in front of you is also a one-way street going the opposite way, and there's no place to go. It's like the streets there are all sorts of fucked.
There are some like that at Purdue, which is also dumb.
Purdue's not a fun place to drive either.
No, Purdue sucks. Yeah, as far as driving goes.
So Austin, the roads are all weird. The people there are pretty weird because on top of it being a college town, it's also the state capital. Mm-hmm. So you get giant like factions of different ideas and ideologies like clashing all the time. You know, students protesting against the government, and the government's all like, "You suck." Not really, but you get my point.
That'd be funny if a politician comes out to protest people. You suck. Go away.
That would be pretty awesome.
That would be pretty funny.
But it's just.
So you think Austin is the weird place of Texas?
Austin is the weird place of Texas. There's no denying it. The people there even say it's weird. Like you can see a Starbucks across the street. Directly across the other side of the street will be another Starbucks.
Starbucks is important.
No.
Yeah. Okay. No. That sounds like Hollywood to me or something weird.
Except in Texas and no famous people.
Yeah. What's up with that?
That's pretty weird, I'm telling you. No offense to anybody from Austin.
We have a lot of Austin listeners. So.
No.
I'm just kidding. Another thing is, so I was talking to my friend from Texas. That isn't you.
Okay.
And they were saying, so whenever you are holding a door open, right? Mm-hmm. You're leaving, you hold the door open, and somebody's right behind you. Normally, you hold the door open for them too. You like let them grab onto it.
Yep.
But sometimes you don't see them, so it hits them. Let's say.
Yeah,
let's say that happens. And then you say, "I'm sorry," right?
Yeah.
You don't actually think it's your fault. You didn't see them. You just say I'm sorry sometimes because that's what you say.
Yeah, sure.
And then do you think it's offensive if that person says you're fine? Like, you know how I say, "Oh, don't worry about it." It's another way of saying it. You're fine.
No, not really.
You don't? No. It's no different than saying it's fine. No? Okay.
No.
Because
I was shaking my head. I should have said no.
I liked your diagram earlier of Texas. I don't know if you noticed you were doing that. You're like San Antonio, Austin.
I mean, I'm trying to map it out.
You were like pointing it on the
table.
fake map of Texas.
It was probably horrendously wrong too.
But anyway, because I was talking to her and she said like she found it like really, really appalling and really, really offensive whenever somebody said you're fine, because it's like putting the blame back onto you, but saying that you don't blame them for it.
It's almost like you're okay.
Yeah. Okay. I thought that maybe was a Texas thing too, but
no, I mean I can see where it's happening. It's like it's your fault, but I don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
I don't take it that way. If they're willing and nice enough to just say it's like it's no big deal.
Okay.
Then I'll take it.
Okay. All right. I don't know if that was a Texas thing versus.
No, that's probably just a personal thing.
Yeah. Okay. But there's one thing that I know is a Texas thing, and that's y'all.
Y'all. Yes.
You say that sometimes.
I do say that sometimes because why would you say you all in 2 syllables?
I say all of you. I make it 3 syllables.
Oh my god. When you can just smash it all together. Y''all.
I'm just saying, technically, in English, it's you. It's just supposed to be you. You can refer to one person, or you can refer to a group of people.
In Texas.
Texas. We speak Texas English.
A little bit. Like, you'd be surprised how many people say howdy as a greeting.
Couldn't do it. I don't understand that.
Say it.
No.
Say it.
Do they say howdy y'all?
Yeah, sometimes.
Oh my god. That's combining
let's say
two of the most southern things I've ever heard.
Let's say someone is like at a concert or something like that, and it's a Texas band. Okay, they'll be like howdy y'all, and then everybody's like howdy.
So I'm guessing it's a country band.
No, yeah, it's probably country.
Okay.
Or there's a speaker that's getting on the podium or the platform that wants to address everybody. They'll be like howdy y'all.
Really?
Yeah. It's just it doesn't. It's not everybody has to say it, but if you hear it, it's not out of the norm.
Okay. Yeah, that would definitely be out of the norm.
This is Indiana. This is way up north.
That's true. Do you feel like you're in the north?
Oh, definitely.
Really?
I am deep in the north.
Okay. I never really felt that way.
It's because you've been in the north
I
all
know,
your life. Do you feel when you go? Have you ever gone to? You're gonna have to come down to Texas.
I've never been.
And you're gonna tell me if you feel deep in the south.
All right.
In the deep south.
Way
below the Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah. Well, the furthest west I've ever been. I know we're talking about south, but the furthest west I've ever been is St. Louis, Missouri. So that's like.
Ever been in California?
No.
You don't want to go there.
Okay.
It's actually really beautiful in California. Just the tax is so high.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah. I honestly, I've been to San Jose, San Francisco, and I think another place. They were great cities.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was really hilly though, and it hurt my knees. This was after a fencing competition.
Oh yeah.
Because the most I've traveled is for fencing for nationals, and one of them was San Jose, and I think that was a really hilly one. Either that or we traveled to a really hilly place. I basically collapsed on the ground after that because I was trying to go up a hill and it was after competition. That was horrible.
That'd be funny if like halfway up the hill you're just like, all right, I'm done. You just sit down.
But the cities and the country and the people overall, they're great. I love that place. It's just too expensive.
Yeah. Taxes there are crazy.
Yeah, and that's also just like a point of reference. Like Indiana has pretty low tax actually, it's like 7%. And then Texas has 8 1/8% tax. And then California is like in double digits tax. It's a very big difference.
Yeah, it's actually kind of weird because in Evansville we have an 8% tax. We have a city tax, which is really strange. Yeah,
is that legal? Brock is wearing a dress shirt and his collar was a little flipped weird, so I fixed it for him.
Thanks, Brock. This is a new shirt.
Oh yeah,
I like it.
I like it too.
Thanks.
It matches your eyes, or they complements your eyes. They pop a little bit.
Do they? That's awesome. And yes, they make it in men's.
Nice. Nice.
I felt like that's what you were going to say.
No, not really. So one of the jokes I have is if I notice someone's got something new and they're wearing, they're kind of showing it off, I'll be like, hey, that's a nice tie. They're like, oh, thanks. Do they make it in men's?
You said that all the time. You said that I don't know how many times at Andrew's party.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I got something a couple of times like that too.
You got me.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh man.
You don't remember that?
No.
All right.
At this party, I'm pretty drunk too, so don't judge me.
You were the drunkest person.
I was the drunkest person there. I was totally trying to get drunk too, and it worked. I'm Asian, and so I'm a little below average for the average person. So I was gone.
You got more drunk than Asia.
I got more drunk than Asia. This kid that I nicknamed randomly.
All right. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Not really. There's always more other podcasts, so maybe next time.
Sure. So you're just doing homework for the rest of the
Yep, got some homework. So, yep, doing homework for the second year of my life. It's horrendously hard.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
Last week was so terrible for me though, because I had we did a lab report I don't know 2 weeks ago or something like that we turned in, and then they were like, I can't believe you guys are so bad at this. So they gave it back to us to redo. They gave it back to us on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to turn it in by Friday at 11 a.m. And I had an exam on Thursday at 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
and that lasted for about 2 hours. And then I had another exam at 10 a.m. the next day. So I had a lab report and 2 exams within
couple hours of each other.
12 hours, all due or whatever you call it.
That sounded like a whole bunch of fun.
Yeah, it fucking sucked. But I'm over it, I guess. So, have you had an exam yet?
I did. I had my math exam.
How'd you do? Or do you know?
I did all right. Not as good as I wanted to, but I pulled out a high D. So that's better than it was before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it pretty close to the curve, or pretty close to the average?
A little below.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you're close to the average, I think that pretty much.
Yeah, and this is like a basic math class too. It's for Purdue is 153, and the average in that class was like a 59. You know, you'd think that it'd be higher because it's a basic math class, but I guess not.
Do you? So wait, you're in 153 right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Thinking. Brock's making the thinking face.
I'm thinking. Is that the same math class you were in before?
No, actually. Okay, so math 159 was the pre-cal class before calculus or whatever. They actually got rid of 159. So it's now broken up into 2 semesters, 153 and 154.
Oh.
And the bad thing about that is I failed 159, and to change that grade, because Purdue, if you take the class again and do better, it changes not only you get the grade for the semester you take it, and you change the grade the previous time you took it, which is really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And to replace my 159 grade, I have to take 2 semesters of math instead of just 1.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a little bit longer to replace my old grade.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, so my GPA boost is going to be a little bit later down the line for math.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's it for podcast number 15. I really hope it's number 15.
It is. I'd be willing to bet money it's 15.
Okay. How much do you want to bet?
Like $100 on it.
Okay. All right. I'll take that bet.
Yeah. If it's wrong,
I'm just gonna upload an in between podcast on podcast 16. All right. Well, I guess that's it. Next week, I think we'll be able to be or whenever we do this again, in the radio.
Oh yeah! Good news, everybody! Instead of recording on Brock's laptop, we might actually be recording in a somewhat professional studio, Wiley radio station up at Purdue.
Yeah. So hopefully that'll be a thing. I mean, I definitely know we can do it. It's just I don't know if we'll be able to record it on here and put it up on YouTube afterwards. We'll see how it works. I'm sure
we'll see. Mm-hmm.
So, and then one last thing. This is a treat for you, Phil. Like I said, I went to the Dance Fever thing with PSUB and Andrew was there, and I told him that I'd go to the free Latin Ballroom session.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
All right, that's it. See you guys later.